888-203-1076. Jim, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Doug. How are you?
Well, thank you. It's funny because Kelly Jackson and I were talking off air about we're sort of leery about these self-driving cars to begin with, on one hand, but on the other hand, wouldn't it be great, especially for those of us who work the early shift, to be able to have a car show up at your house and you can hop in the back and you could have the newspaper, a cup of coffee, take a nap, whatever you choose to do. I mean, the concept in and of itself sounds great to me.
Yeah, people talk about that. Take a book, maybe take a cup of coffee. I think I'd take a pillow, and I got to be to work at 3 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, that may be the future. And there is now, or will be in July, a service being launched here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area community of Frisco, which has exploded in growth in just the last few years, Doug. I mean, it's gone from nothing to a couple of 100,000 people in just the last 20 years or so. That it seemed like the perfect proving ground for that sort of technology. And so a California company called Drive.ai has struck a deal with the city of Frisco. The city of Frisco then has gone to an office complex and to a retail complex, which is about a mile away from there, a mile being kind of the cutoff. It's a little too far to walk, but too close to drive. And so starting in July, this Drive.ai will run these orange driverless vans between those two locations, hailed there by an app, just like an Uber app. They're going to give it a try. About 10,000 people work in that office complex, and they'll soon have access to this app and the driverless ride service pretty soon, Doug.
Since I'm still kind of on the fence with this, Jim, I'm assuming for this driverless car, they're going to have someone there, just in case something happens too, right?
Initially, yes. In the beginning, that will be the case, Kelly. They'll have a person sitting there at the wheel, even if he or she doesn't have his hands on the wheel, just as a stopgap in case something goes wrong. That person will be able to grab the wheel and take over. After that, after a short testing period, this is, by the way, being done on public streets. That's what makes it different from previous attempts like this. It's being done not on a test track or a closed environment, but on public streets with other vehicles that have drivers at the wheel. So after that initial period, they'll have what they're calling a chaperone, somebody sitting in the passenger seat to turn around and talk with passengers about the service, but also to give comfort that if something goes wrong, they can reach over, grab the wheel, and take over. After that, though, the van will be showing up all by itself if you hail it with your app.
That is the spookiest thing.
I think you're right. People have that view that it's spooky, that it's kind of weird to see this, and it is if you watch videos of a driverless car taking people around. But and there's also a danger aspect. We've had some high-profile accidents, including some fatal ones, and that's what Drive.ai and the developers are hoping to allay people's concerns that it's not a safe way to get around.
Interesting. I mean, I remember when at airports, they have these driverless trains that get from a wing, a hub, into the main terminal building. And when they first came into being, people were all not sure it's very safe. But now, of course, it's a track. It goes on a very specific route. And there are safety factors that are involved in there, but cars are a totally different breed of cat. It seems to me that artificial intelligence is going to play a huge role in the success or failure of these cars.
Right, which accounts for the name of the company, Drive.ai. AI stands for artificial intelligence, and that's the way of the future. Apparently, it's the vehicles, the machines acting on their own, using information around them and what they've learned.
There's got to be some liability issues, too. I mean, like you were mentioning, there have been fatal accidents involving these cars. So, I mean, it's not an enter-at-your-own-risk kind of thing. I mean, what if something happens?
Well, you're right. I think there would be lawsuits. There'd be certainly it's a bad PR move, absolutely, if something goes wrong and you're trying to sell this as a viable service. So I think they're being very careful about this. And I think it points to the confidence that at least this company has in the technology, that it is a good technology and that the people aren't going to get hurt. Let's just hope that that's the case.
Are you going to be able to take advantage of this or try it just because of your role as a journalist?
Yes.
Cool.
I hope so.
Well, you need to hit up the folks at ABC to say, hey, open up the purse strings here for just a couple of minutes and let me try this out.
Again, it's free though. They're offering it free to the people who work in that office complex for the first 6 months, and then they'll start tacking on a fee for it. But not unlike Uber or Lyft or the others, it's charged directly to your account. Something like 58 million people are using ride-share apps right now, and so at least that technology already seems to work.
Interesting. Jim, thanks so much for the time this morning.
All right, see you guys.
Jim Ryan, ABC News correspondent from Dallas. We have to make a note to get in touch with him after he's taken the test ride.
Or we can do like a live thing with him, interview while he's taking the test ride.